The Galactic Council chamber erupted in what passed for laughter among the assembled species. Clicking mandibles, oscillating throat sacs, and harmonic vibrations filled the crystalline dome as Ambassador Thexvar displayed the latest human diplomatic proposal on the central hologram. "Medical aid packages," wheezed the Vathari representative, its gelatinous form quivering with mirth. "They want to send healing supplies to the plague-ravaged colonies of the Outer Rim." Counselor Zephyrus of the militant Krex Empire leaned forward, her scaled features twisted in contempt. "The humans offer assistance to worlds that have openly declared hostility toward them. What manner of weakness is this?" Ambassador Sarah Chen stood motionless at the human delegation podium, her expression calm despite the mockery surrounding her. She had expected this reaction. For 3 standard years, humanity had been the newest member of the Galactic Council, and their compassion-driven policies had been a constant source of ridicule among the established powers. "Perhaps," hissed the serpentine Salith delegate, "the humans hope to poison their enemies with kindness." More laughter rippled through the chamber. Thexvar raised a chitinous appendage for silence. "The human proposal is noted and rejected, as always." His compound eyes fixed on Ambassador Chen. "When will your species learn that the galaxy rewards strength, not sentiment?" Chen stepped forward, her voice steady and clear. "Counselor Thexvar, we understand your position. However, we maintain our offer of humanitarian aid. Should any world require assistance, regardless of their political stance toward humanity, we will provide it." The chamber fell momentarily quiet, then erupted in fresh waves of alien amusement. Several delegates exchanged what humans had learned, were betting tokens, apparently wagering on how long human naivety could persist in such a harsh galaxy. 3 months later, the first reports reached the council chambers. The Xerion plague, a virulent bioweapon that had been ravaging the Outer Rim colonies, had begun to mutate. What started as isolated outbreaks on rebellious worlds had evolved into something far more dangerous. The pathogen now targeted neural tissue across multiple species and was spreading through spacefaring vessels at an alarming rate. The Krex were the first major power to be affected. Their military doctrine of conquest meant constant movement between worlds, and their ships became inadvertent carriers. Within weeks, 3 of their core systems reported massive casualties. Counselor Zephyrus stormed into an emergency session, her usual composure shattered. "The plague has reached Krex Prime. Our entire 4th Fleet is quarantined and our medical facilities are overwhelmed." Similar reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The Vathari homeworld's communication networks went silent. The Salith Empire declared martial law as their serpentine physiology proved particularly vulnerable to the neural damage. Then came the transmission that changed everything. "This is Dr. Elena Vasquez of the Human Medical Corps." The voice echoed through the chamber as delegates desperately sought solutions to the spreading catastrophe. "Our research teams have successfully developed a treatment protocol for the Xerion plague. We are prepared to deploy medical ships to all affected systems immediately." Thexvar's compound eyes widened in disbelief. "Impossible. The plague has only existed for months. No species could develop a cure so quickly." Ambassador Chen's image appeared on the main display, her expression grim but determined. "Counselor, 3 months ago we began developing countermeasures the moment we offered aid to the first affected colonies. While you debated politics, our scientists studied the pathogen. While you mocked our compassion, we prepared for this exact scenario." The truth hit the assembled delegates like a physical blow. The humans hadn't just offered help. They had quietly, systematically prepared to save species who had openly scorned them. "You see," Chen continued, "what you perceived as weakness was actually strategic foresight. Human compassion isn't just an emotional response. It's a survival mechanism refined over millennia of cooperation. We learned long ago that in crisis, those who help others ultimately help themselves." Dr. Vasquez's medical briefing revealed the scope of human preparation. Research stations on the edge of human space had been monitoring the plague's progression. Medical ships had been constructed and staffed. Diplomatic channels had been established with non-aligned worlds to ensure treatment distribution networks. Most terrifying to the watching aliens was the casual efficiency with which humans had predicted and prepared for galactic catastrophe, while simultaneously offering the very aid that had been rejected. But why? Counselor Zephyrus demanded, her pride warring with desperation as Krek's mortality rates climbed. Why help those who showed you nothing but contempt? Chen's response would be recorded in galactic history. Because that's what humans do. We don't help people because they deserve it. We help them because they need it, and because today's enemy might be tomorrow's ally when facing an even greater threat. Within days, human medical ships appeared in orbit around every affected world. The sleek vessels that had been dismissed as naive humanitarian gestures now looked like salvation itself. Human medical teams worked tirelessly, their treatments proving remarkably effective against a plague that had baffled the galaxy's greatest minds. But the most unsettling revelation came in the following weeks. As human doctors worked alongside alien medical personnel, they shared not just treatments but knowledge. The humans had developed broad-spectrum countermeasures, not just for the current plague but for entire categories of bioweapons. Intelligence reports began filtering back to various governments. Human medical research wasn't limited to benevolent healing. Their comprehensive understanding of biological systems combined with their strategic thinking meant they possessed knowledge that could easily be weaponized. The species that had mocked human compassion began to realize they had completely misunderstood what they were witnessing. This wasn't weakness, it was the most sophisticated form of strategic thinking the galaxy had ever encountered. Humans had turned empathy into intelligence gathering, humanitarian aid into strategic positioning, and compassion into comprehensive preparation. As the plague retreated under human medical intervention, a new understanding settled over the Galactic Council. The humans hadn't just saved lives, they had demonstrated that they could predict, prepare for, and solve problems that had brought mighty civilizations to their knees. In the months that followed, no species voted against human proposals. Not because they suddenly embraced compassion, but because they finally understood what human kindness actually represented. A species so thoroughly prepared to help others that crossing them had become unthinkably dangerous. Ambassador Chen returned to the council chambers to find a very different reception. The mocking laughter had been replaced by respectful silence, and the betting tokens had disappeared entirely. Now, she said quietly, shall we discuss our next humanitarian initiative? The silence that followed spoke volumes about how completely the galaxy's understanding of humanity had changed.